Okay, hello all people. Hello everyone. This is Myra McKnight, your host. And actually, I'm excited about the guest that I have today. Actually, I'm extremely excited. She's been on our show before, and she's actually coming along with us and bringing back what we call as the indie grind. And that's a show that my late business partner, Tracy Jeffcoat, she's the one that produced it and started it. And it's been kind of crazy, but we're bringing it back now because what we want to do is make sure we highlight some of our very best artists that are around the globe and that are doing some amazing things. You know, we're in a crazy climate right now, and a lot of the artist songs are talking about this climate, talking about the inadequacies and unequal justice and things of that nature, and they're flowing in that, and that's what we do. You know, that's what we do. We speak from our heart and from our soul. And I am excited today here on Hindsight Media Radio and the show of Indie Grind to have this amazing, beautiful, beautiful songstress with us, Kea Michaels. And Karsha, you know her, she's known all over the world. She's done some amazing things, and she's gonna tell us all about those amazing things. And I want you to just make sure you listen intently and go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go everywhere you need to go because you need to hear this beautiful song of Miss Kea Michaels. So I want to introduce to the Indie Grind today, Miss Kea Michaels. How are you, my lady
I'm
queen?
Fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We do appreciate you being part of the Indie Grind and letting us know who you are, the voice, the mind, the soul behind this beautiful voice. Tell us a little bit about you. Let our audience know who you are.
Okay. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I grew up surrounded by music. I have two parents that are both musicians. So our house was filled with music. My dad's a guitar player and a singer, and my mom plays the violin. So at the age of 9, my sister and I wrote our first song. And I knew at that age that I had a love and a passion for creating. And it was probably several years past that, in my teenage years, that I really picked up writing. I love writing scripts and stories. And then I grew a strong passion and obsession for poetry that later on, I would take those poems and convert them into songs. So years later, something hit me. I got like an epiphany, and I sought out a vocal coach, and I trained with her off and on for several years. And I enrolled in a music program just for a semester, a few months. And it wasn't long after that I started sitting in with bands. I built a repertoire of music and sitting in with bands. And maybe for a couple of months, I sat in with bands. And I built the repertoire, as I mentioned before. Then I started hiring different musicians and going out locally and performing. And I've been singing professionally for over a decade. I've been singing jazz and R&B for over a decade. And in 2015, I started recording music. I found a producer and I started working with him, and I brought in my original music and I started recording. I released the first song in 2017, and I've been releasing singles ever since. Wow. So there you have it.
Wow, wow, wow. That's amazing. And it's beautiful because you realize your gift. And so many people just overlook that, or they get the I can't do it, or I'm not at the age where I can do it, or I got a lot going on and things of that nature. But you had a driving passion for this even before you actually start doing it, it sounds like.
Yes, I did. My sister and I, we would sing around the house when we were little. I mean, probably around 4 or 5 years old. We would just sing. And because my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a period, and she surrounded us with music like the Doobie Brothers and Cool and the Gang, and so many others, Lionel Richie
Yeah.
and the Commodores.
Yeah.
And so we would just sing around the house.
Yeah.
But I knew that I loved to sing.
Hmm.
And if I heard a beat or if I heard a song,
Mhm.
even when I was very young,
Mhm.
I would do my own rendition of it.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had a love for music. I knew I had.
Well, it shows. It definitely, and I'll say it shows. You can hear it for sure. I mean, you can hear and as I was saying to you before we went live, is your songs, your voice is sophisticated, it's graceful, it's smooth. It's whether you're doing the jazz or you're doing the R&B, it's just that smooth kind of music that takes you into I guess it kind of like a conscious zone, a zone of awareness. It's holistic kind of, and I gravitated to that, from a couple of your other singles that you had out when you were interviewed by Rashida, which is Andrea Tracy's daughter. And listening to that, it told a story, because you can actually follow the poem, follow the story, but your voice made you want to hear the next word and the next phrase and the next one. So that's, you truly have a gift. But let me ask you this, Kea, what actually inspires you when you're writing? What causes that to come up, to cause you to write and to sing it, to put it into a song?
You probably don't want to hear this, but I'm inspired by pain.
Okay.
I think that when things aren't happening
Yeah.
so good in the world or happening so good in my life, I'm really inspired to write. So I think pain would be at the forefront of my writing.
Okay.
Thus far.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah. And you know what? That sounds familiar, because I think a lot of artists, you have to feel something,
Yes.
and I think, even for me, if I'm working with a client, or I'm speaking, it has to come through a sort of pain, or maybe of an experience. And depending on the experience, you're able to kind of talk about it, because then you're able to connect to whatever you're talking about. And then it sounds like, you're there, you're in the environment of that thing, whether it's the pain, the experience of the pain, or what have you. So that doesn't sound off the wall. That sounds real. That sounds real. It definitely does. And so that kind of takes back to something that you were talking about here, and I was reading some more information regarding you, and we're talking about the social injustices and things of that nature. And I guess that's due, of course, to the climate, to the pain and things of that nature. Tell us a little bit about that, Kea.
When I was young, or when I was a kid, I would see Al Sharpton on TV.
Right.
And I had this thing for activism. And at that time in my life, I wanted to be a Black activist.
Okay.
When I saw Al Sharpton, to me, I thought he was like a king. I thought that he was somebody that came in to defend our community and speak for our rights. So when I was a child, I had a strong love for things that I didn't feel were right, that were happening to my people and in my community. And I wanted to be one of those ones to make change. I wanted to be a strong Black leader, and I wanted to be an activist at that time. So that's where it comes from. I've always been had a strong love for my people, strong love for the community. But I've seen so many things that has happened and that are still happening to us.
Right.
Things that were happening to my father. I remember he worked in a steel mill. He was there for so long, and seeing him come home. He was married to my mom at the time, and him come home because he was in so much emotional pain because he was being dogged out
Yeah.
because of the color of his skin. There weren't a whole lot of Black men that worked out there.
Mhm.
And he would come in, and to be honest, he would take those things out on my mother.
Mhm.
So not physically,
Right.
but he would have meltdowns that my mother had to deal with. But him being a Black man, hardworking and a strong and powerful Black man, but he was subjected to scrutiny and racism.
Absolutely.
And that really stuck with me.
Mhm.
And I think that, and just some of the things, a lot of things that have happened to us, that are still happening to us as Black Americans,
Right.
have really bothered me. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
I've always had this strong sense for activism.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And and this, you're doing exactly that. You're just doing it in song. So you're doing exactly that. You're not speaking like Al Sharpton, but you're speaking through song, just like we speak through poetry, through songs, through the conversation, through marching, things of that nature. And I understand exactly what you're saying. We see those things, and we see the injustices that go on in our community, and the whatever little bit we can do, I believe helps. We might not can do a whole lot. Even in Sharpton's time, he's done a lot, but that still is not enough, unfortunately. And it's kind of crazy. We're celebrating King's birthday a couple of weeks ago, but it's kind of like, really? Where are we? It's a different flavor, but it's the same Kool-Aid kind of thing. So it's a heartbreaking
Absolutely.
thing. It's very heartbreaking to see where we are in this climate, this world, and it's unfortunate. But that's the fire that always ignites us. And I'm going to say it ignites women. I'm quite sure your mom had to understand and deal with some of the things your dad was going through. My mom had to do the same thing. My dad was in a job, whereas most Black men weren't in, and made good money, took care of the family, but still he had to deal with the outside, and he brought it into the inside. Not physically, but just sad, frustrated, just those kind of things. So yeah, you're still doing that, and that fire is still there. And this is what you're bringing to us in your song, which is truly remarkable in how you're doing that. And tell us about your latest release, the release Holla If You Hear Me. And
Yes.
tell us about that, Kea.
Holla If You Hear Me is all about Black America's
Mhm.
cry for change.
Mhm.
We're tired, and we're busting at the seams.
Mhm.
We're tired of social injustice, inequality, and police brutality, and so many other things. We're tired of a system that has been designed to destroy us. And so Holla If You Hear Me is just our cry for change. But within that song, I'm also touching base on this new world order where our children are being subjected to growing up before their time. Social media, from TV. I'm talking about low salary wages, low employment wages, barely enough to take care of yourself and to take care of your household and your children and your families. So I'm touching base on those things too. But in the song, I do mention George Floyd, because the song does have everything to do with change. We need change. And I'm basically shouting that out in the song. We need change, or singing that out.
Absolutely.
And that's what Holla If You Hear Me is all about, our cry for change.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. And I think we've been doing that for so long. And we've always done it in song, even way back, 50, 100 years from our time, and then I remember songs of Blackness and their cries for inspiration and things of that nature. And there's some other ones that came along the scenes. And then we kind of got misguided into other areas, and our songs became more degrading than they were uplifting. And now coming back to that, and I was always kind of concerned about the degradation of the songs against us as Black women, when some of us needed more inspiration, we were getting the degradation instead of inspiration. That was all for the love of money, and things of that nature. But to be able to give out to everybody, which talks about those things that harm all of us, because if they harm us as a community, they're ultimately harming the other communities as well. They don't, sometimes they don't get that, but that's kind of the way it is, pretty much. But, you're coming from a different space to be that activism, that songstress, that you're not screaming and hollering, but you're giving people an opportunity to pause. Hindsight Media is more of a holistic kind of station. It's not with the labels. It's just being the best that you can possibly be. If we go into hindsight 2020 means I would not do that again, because I've learned from it tremendously. And if I had gone with hindsight, I wouldn't have done it all. But now, bringing artists like yourself on the indie grind, Kea Michaels, is an inspiration to all of us, because it just gives us a time to sit still and listen to your music. And, I'm thinking another one, you're in that area of, goodness gracious, was Marvin Gaye, when he talked about, what the war and what love is and coming
Yes.
together, all those things. Curtis Mayfield, and I know they're way, back before our time, but,
Yes.
You think about those, or, they made remarkable strides, and they helped people, because sometimes that's all you have, is to be able to hear somebody in song, which is what we do, or in conversation, is
Absolutely.
what we do. That's how we learn a lot. As far as a new world order for our children, where do you see that going for our kids? Because we can plea in our meditation, our practice, our prayers. How do you see that going? What shift do you think we're going to need to make as a community to help our children? And that's really important for us.
I think it's going to take for our men to claim their rightful position in the community as leaders.
Absolutely.
I think that, with our men being in a position that they are, more than the majority of them are unstable. Mental health is running rampant. Drug addiction, alcoholism,
right.
and just the brokenness within our men. I think our men need to be repaired. And because, like you mentioned earlier, Black women have been fighting for us for so long. We've been at the forefront and fighting, way back when.
Yes.
And I think that our men need to get back to how our men used to roll, and we need to put leaders back in the community, not those that are all about money and propaganda and all about popularity. We need real, authentic Black male leaders, Black men, to help lead us and come together with Black women. I think that that's the only way to move us forward. And hopefully, we cannot repair a lot of the damage that's been done, but we can hope for things to get better. But it's not going to get better without us coming together. I think that we're so separated in the division. I mean, this happened way back when.
That's true.
When they removed Black men, and it caused so much of a division that you see so many, single parent households. And it's like, wow. And now it's accepted. It's accepted for a woman not wanting to be married. It's okay. If I just, pop out a baby, I don't need a man, I don't need a husband. But it never used to be like that.
That's true.
I had a conversation with a gentleman where I go and where I go and run at, where I go and jog at. And this was last year, and no, this was a year before last. And he's an older white man. And one thing he said to me, he's Italian. He said, Kea, he said, back when there were Black families all in the neighborhood, they were on our street. We had there was husband and wives, there were Black men. He said, what happened? I think we need to get back to that, coming together as Black woman and Black man. And we need to, again, we need our Black men to lead, because without them, I feel like we're going to keep going through what we're going through, and things are never going to get better.
Yeah. And you're absolutely correct. You know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That needs to happen. And I've had those conversations, you know, with my groups of women that I talk to. But unfortunately, you know, not that it's a man thing, but a lot of men blame us as women. They blame us for being, you know, educated, wanting to do better, wanting to be better. And probably we're the reason for their demise, and we're the reason for children's demise. And I just don't think that's fair. I think that I think that the Creator has given us everything we need to obtain wealth. I think that we could do that hand in hand if there's not a pulling and a tugging of trying to be put into a box, you know, to grow organically, holistically, as one together with a goal in mind. So, you know, I don't know, because, you know, in the kind of work that I do, younger people, millennials, they're not thinking about marriage. And a lot of women aren't thinking about having children. Maybe one, they'll adopt one or have one and they're good. So I'm hoping that the mindset will begin to change, but you're absolutely correct. Until that man has stepped up to create that change and start that ball rolling, it's going to be kind of difficult. And we'll be looking for songs like yours. We'll be looking for those words to soothe us, you know, in this time of trial. And it becomes very unfortunate that we are here. You know, we've never been here before. So it's new for us, you know, and because we've never lived this life before. And, you know, I some things you do have to accept in life. And as you know, my son passed about 6 months ago. So that was my only child. And so I'll never see grandchildren. I'll never see the wedding. You know, so those are things in life you just kind of wonder why, you know, but you have to be careful not to ask why. Because if you do that, sometimes that takes you down a rabbit hole that you can't almost recover from. So you keep moving. And that's what women of our culture do. We suffer in silence and we keep moving and looking for a rescue raft. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we don't. But having artists like yourself who are socially relevant, who can relate, you know, like you said, the pain, the experience. You are actually going through the process, and you're carrying us along with you as you go through the process. And that's a big deal, because you're spearheading, and we all have that opportunity to do that in a particular way. And, you know, I'm reminded of in our culture, how whenever we got ready to do something, we always led out in a hymn or a chant, or you had your followers behind you, and somebody was bringing in their soul. You know, they were bringing in that song, and they were saying those words, and they just kind of gave you chill bumps, but it ignited you and inspired you to go on into the war. You know, it's kind of like, we got to go there, and we're gonna go there singing, and it's kind of like the ancestors were all around marching with you, and that's all you can do today. And that's basically, you know, from looking at it from a holistic standpoint, music is the epitome of who we are. It's the core, you know, and like you said, you grew up in it. Your dad and your mom, even though there were some challenges with your dads at the job and things of that nature, even though that music said something. Now, what about your grandparents? Let me ask you that. Were they in music? How did your mom and dad get into the musical career? Kea? Okay, look like it. She stopped on me. Your mom and dad. Kea is, I'm telling you, this right here is truly amazing. Holla If You Hear Me is a single. This came out in December, and now it is being re-released right now. And so Kea has been bringing it to us for some time, and this is nothing new for her. This is a strong woman, a strong Black woman who has something to say. And the great thing is she's saying it in song, and she's helping all of us as she continues to do that. And so we know we had some technical difficulties, but we just want to make sure that you are getting the best of who this amazing lady is. And we're going to have her on our show again, but you can go to www.hindsightmediaradio.com, and we'll be airing this on next Friday with Miss Kea Michaels. And we're talking about her song, Holla If You Hear Me. It's going to go off to all platforms. You can see it, listen to it on Alexa, YouTube, SoundCloud, Google devices, iHeartRadio. I mean, this lady is everywhere. And let me tell you how you can reach Kea as well. You can reach her at YouTube, Kea Michaels, Facebook.com, Kea Michaels, Instagram.com, Music by Kea, and her website, the artist's website is musicbykea.com. Apologize for, how it goes, social media, everybody's on it, it's crazy. But anywho, it was an amazing, amazing opportunity to sit with Kea Michaels and give us some of her good energy, some of her holistic energy of song. And again, the single, make sure you go and get it. Make sure you listen to it. You can listen to it right now, actually, if you go to YouTube. And did it song, Holla If You Hear Me. Holla If You Hear Me. That's her new single. This is Myra McKnight. I am your host, one of your hosts of the Indie Grind, which we are bringing back now. And we're bringing it back due to my amazing queen that started Hindsight Media when over a year and a half ago, who has left this planet at this time, but this is her baby. And I said, we're going to renew it. And we thank you so much for listening. This is Myra, your host and your friend. Make it a great day. Thank you.